They say respect is earned, unless you live in a neighborhood like ours, where it's policed by a woman with a clipboard, a grudge, and way too much time on her hands. My name's Cole. My wife Hannah and I moved into Willow Glen Estates 2 years ago. Beautiful homes, quiet streets, one lake, and one tyrant named Karen. Karen wasn't just on the HOA board, she was the board. Self-elected, self-important, and self-appointed to fix things that didn't need fixing. When she first walked up our driveway and pointed out that our trash cans were non-regulation, we laughed it off. But when she saw Hannah in uniform for the first time, everything changed. See, Hannah doesn't wear just any uniform. She's a decorated federal officer. Clean, composed, quiet strength. Her badge isn't for show, it's her job. But Karen didn't see that. She saw a threat. A few days after Hannah walked out in full-dress uniform for a flag ceremony, the police showed up at our door. Someone had reported a possible impersonation situation. The cops were embarrassed when Hannah calmly showed them her federal ID and credentials. They apologized and left. But across the street, Karen stood on her lawn, watching, smirking. The next morning, a violation notice was zip-tied to our front door. Unauthorized government, symbolism on private property. It came with a printed screenshot from our own door camera. Somehow Karen had gotten access to it, and an anonymous warning about militaristic presence in a residential neighborhood. We were stunned, but not surprised. Over the following weeks, we received multiple citations. One for our mailbox being visually non-compliant, another for our security camera angle, even one for visual intimidation caused by the way our American flag was hung. All of them came signed by Karen, no other board members. We didn't react, not yet, but we started documenting everything. Because something told me this was far from over. Karen had always craved power, but now she was obsessed with Hannah. It wasn't about rules. It was about dominance, control. She started referring to Hannah as the impersonator in her emails. Neighbors told us she'd been spreading rumors that Hannah's credentials were fake, that she was cosplaying government to scare people. One Sunday, we went to the neighborhood barbecue. Hannah wore plain clothes, nothing fancy. Karen arrived late, with a private security guard. She claimed it was for community safety. People laughed nervously. She marched right up to Hannah and said, "Let's keep today peaceful, shall we?" That was it. The last straw. Because what Karen didn't know? Hannah's not just a federal officer. She's a decorated investigator with the Office of the Inspector General. Her entire career revolves around tracking misconduct, fraud, and abuse of authority. While Karen was busy holding emergency HOA meetings about banning government-affiliated attire, we were building a case. We filed a report with the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, detailing the targeted harassment. We collected signed statements from neighbors, even found forged HOA letters she'd sent using fake legal language. Karen had crossed a line, and we had the paper trail to prove it. According to HOA bylaws, any board member can be removed if enough residents sign a petition. We needed 60%. We got 74%. The next HOA meeting was packed. Folding chairs, cheap donuts, and tension in the air. Karen stood at the front with a presentation titled, "Maintaining Neighborhood, Identity Through Visual Unity." Translation: she was still trying to ban Hannah's uniform. Before she could start, I stood up and motioned for a board. Recall vote, citing Section 8C of the bylaws and presenting the signed petition. Karen froze. Someone seconded, then a third voice said, "Let's do this." Ballots were handed out. 10 minutes later, Karen was voted out, 44 to 10. She tried to argue, said the vote was illegitimate. That's when 2 men in suits entered the room. They weren't neighbors. They were federal investigators. Quiet, calm, efficient. They asked Karen to step outside. And as she did, the entire room watched through the glass windows as they began asking her questions about false reports, abuse of position, and forgery. Karen went pale. She left that night shaking. Her power? Gone. In the days that followed, the fallout was swift. The DOJ issued a formal warning to Karen, citing civil rights violations and defamation. The HOA board conducted a full audit, revealing Karen had used over $11,000 in discretionary funds for unauthorized security initiatives. That private guard? Unlicensed. Illegally contracted. She faced civil penalties, and the HOA filed a lawsuit to recover the money. But most impactful of all, the new board issued an official apology to Hannah, thanking her for her service and condemning the previous harassment. They asked if she'd speak at the upcoming Veterans Day event. She respectfully declined. She didn't need recognition. She'd already gotten justice. As for Karen, a quiet for sale sign appeared in her yard. No goodbye emails, no farewell party, just a moving truck on a cloudy Wednesday morning. She left the same way she tried to lead, alone. And the neighborhood? It's peaceful again. Not just because Karen is gone, but because people finally remembered what a community is supposed to be. Neighbors started talking again, laughing again. And Hannah? She still wears her uniform. Sometimes in the yard, sometimes on her way to work. No one questions it anymore. They wave, they smile. And occasionally someone stops to say thank you, because this wasn't just about HOA rules. It was about dignity, about standing up when someone tries to rewrite the rules to suit their ego, and about fighting back, not with noise, but with facts, with calm, with patience. If you've ever dealt with a Karen like this, drop your story in the comments, or just type "justice served" if you made it to the end. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this, of quiet revenge, poetic justice, and the kind of power that doesn't scream. It just wins.